Y'all know who it is. It's your favorite unk. I've teamed up with Whatnot. This Friday, November 1st at 7 p.m. Pacific, I'm joining the Cool Kicks gang here in Las Vegas. I'm auctioning off 300 pairs of sneakers from my personal collection, and it's going to a very worthy cause, the Savannah State Scholarship Fund. I'm going to start a scholarship fund because I thought it was appropriate for me to give back. I want to donate to my school that's done so much for me. So this Friday, November 1st at 7 p.m. Pacific, Whatnot and I are teaming up. We're going to have an auction, 300 pairs of sneakers, my personal collection. Some of these sneaks, guys, I didn't even know I had, but you get the benefit from it. Your favorite unk.
Part of what we have to help people understand is don't think you're in Donald Trump's club. You're not.
Right.
He's not going to be thinking about you. You think he's having you over for dinner? You think that when he's with his buddies, his billionaire buddies, he's thinking about what we need to do to deal with addressing, for example, my work around what I'm doing to address disparities in Black men's health, around colon cancer, around what we need to do around screenings, what we need to do around prostate cancer. Black men are twice as likely to have, and screenings, what we need to do to address.
I'm a survivor of prostate cancer.
Right. You know what I'm talking about.
Go James and the Lakers are back putting on a show, and you know I got to get the best deal on tickets. That's why I need to tell you about my sponsor, SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more sports. I'm excited to go see the Lakers dominate the Sixers at the Crib. They put all their tickets across the web in one place to make sure you're getting a good deal. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10. So you look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. And you know I came through for you guys. Use my code Shay Shay for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code Shay Shay. Would you want to touch on some specific things you would like to do to keep it, because the economy seems to be heading in the right direction, but the inflation, gas prices are extremely high, groceries are extremely high, this rent. I mean, it used to be when I was renting, they moved the rent up $40 a year. Now they're moving it up $400.
So let's talk about that. I'm glad you raised that. So for example, groceries, yes, the prices are still too high. You know it, I know it.
Yeah.
Part of my plan is to deal with price gouging. I did it when I was Attorney General. I'm going to do it as president, which is these companies that will jack up the prices of groceries to take advantage of people in need, and in particular during a crisis, like what you see around the pandemic or Hurricane Helene.
Yes. Milton.
Right?
Yes.
Milton, right? So there's that. In terms of housing, first of all, we know that Black families are 40% less likely to own their home. And we can go back to redlining. We can go back to policies that were by law or practice meant to not give Black folks equal opportunity to home ownership, especially in certain neighborhoods. We can go back to what happened around the GI Bill, and when all those, the great generation we call them, came back, and there was federal policy to say, you all fought for our country, we're going to give you a boost around helping you buy homes. But those Black servicemen, and it was mostly men, those Black servicemen did not. So you had then a time when there was a boost. It ended up being not for Black service members. So part of my policy is to, one, create a fund so that we will give a $25,000 down payment to first-time homeowners to just help people get in the door. We will deal with the rent issue, because part of what we're seeing in Atlanta, in places across our country, is these corporations are buying up all these properties. Which means then that they don't have to deal with competition between the properties, and they're jacking up rent costs. So it's about also going after that corporate gouging around what they're doing to buy up and then jack up the prices of rent. We also need to help people with small business ownership. I did, even before I was running for president, a tour, I called it the Opportunity Economy Tour, focused on Black men and Black entrepreneurs. What we know is, unlike Donald Trump, who got $400 million handed to him practically on a silver platter. And by the way, Shannon filed for bankruptcy 6 times. Everybody wants to say he's a great businessman. Take a look at his record. I know that so many of our entrepreneurs who have great ideas don't have access to capital, but they have serious work ethic, great ideas, and a plan to do the work. So part of my plan is to increase access to capital, including giving $20,000 forgivable loans for startup capital for people to buy the equipment.
Right.
And then to change the tax deduction. So whereas it is now $5,000 to make it $50,000 to start a new business, because nobody can start a new business on $5,000.
No.
And the direct benefit when we're looking at Black entrepreneurs is profound. And all it is about saying this. Americans in general, regardless of their race or gender, we have ambition, we have aspirations, we have dreams, but not everyone has access to the opportunity that lets them actually accomplish that. I want to increase access to opportunity.
Listen, unfortunately, I've gone viral a few times, but I've never gone viral for GLP-1s for weight loss. So you've probably heard about the once weekly shot that can help you lose an average of 20% of your weight in a year when combined with diet and exercise. But you also may have heard that out-of-pocket costs can be huge, and figuring out insurance coverage is wild. Now Ro is making it easier to see if you're covered for GLP-1s to help you get the best price out there. Want to hear my favorite part? They'll check for free. Yep, it won't cost you a dime to find out if your insurance will cover GLP-1s. 100,000 members and counting have trusted Ro to check their coverage and get the meds at the best price possible, depending on their insurance plan. Just submit your insurance card, and Ro will create a personal insurance coverage report so you can understand your options. Go to ro.co/Shannon for your free insurance coverage report. That's ro.co/Shannon. Start losing weight sooner with GLP-1s through Ro. Let's get into things that will change what will happen if you were to become president, say in the next 12 to 13 days. Polls suggest that voters trust President Trump, former President Trump, more on the economy. What can you tell the voters, our viewing audience, our listening audience, that if you were to become president, wow, Madam VP Kamala Harris will be much better on the economy than what President Trump was?
Well, so I'm really glad you brought that up, Shannon. So first of all, let's clear up certain myths.
Okay.
You know those checks that went out?
Yes. Those stimmies?
Right. Right.
Stimulus check.
Yeah, I know. Well, right. Yes. Yes.
We got to be for stimulus, but they call them stimmies. Okay.
The reason those came about is because there was a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives and Congress. Mm-hmm. People like Maxine Waters, people like Hakeem Jeffries, right?
Yes.
Who did the work of pushing to say, people need help right now and we need to send out checks. There was a whole lot of opposition to it, including from Donald Trump's White House.
Yes, even him. I think he was resistant to it at first.
Yes. That's why those checks, remember, Congress holds the purse.
Yes.
So really, Congress wrote those checks. But then Donald Trump, unlike any president before or after, decided he put his name on those checks.
So therefore, people thought
Donald Trump gave me that check. And so let's clear that up first and foremost.
Okay.
But let's also deal with where he was in terms of his policies on the economy. He gave the biggest tax cuts for billionaires and the biggest corporations, which caused an incredible deficit. He tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which we also call Obamacare, which benefited so many people, including, and in particular, Black people in America who otherwise were denied by the insurance companies health coverage because of pre-existing conditions.
Yes, that's most important. Let the people know.
Right?
With a Affordable Care Act, if you have a pre-existing condition, insurance companies can no longer deny you coverage.
That's exactly right. And if you think about what that means in the context of also knowing the big health disparities we have in the Black community,
right,
and how more likely, therefore, Black folks might be to have pre-existing conditions.
High blood pressure, diabetes,
all of
certain
that.
cancers.
All of that.
Yes.
Asthma for our children.
Yes. Sickle cell trait.
It's all of that. So by getting rid of the pre-existing condition ban, what that did, but he wanted to get rid of the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
What we have done, and part of my policies going forward include what we need to do to not only retain the cap that we got on insulin at $35 a month for seniors. By the way, Black folks are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes.
Correct.
He wants to get rid of it with that Project 2025. Everybody needs to check that out. What he would do to get rid of Social Security, or at least raise the age to 70, so you'd have to work to 70 to be able to qualify.
Right.
Get rid of Medicare, get rid of the Affordable Care Act. And that's just on health policy, not to mention bringing back not only tax cuts for the richest people, but what he would do that is about eliminating or reducing the ability of corporations to be required to pay overtime pay.
So you could work and the corporations wouldn't have to pay you for it.
For overtime.
Who work for free?
That's right. And overtime means you are actually working a longer day, which means you are more tired.
Right.
Which means it requires more exertion. That's why we have overtime pay. So you don't take advantage of workers. In addition to all of that, we're looking at Donald Trump, basically somebody who has never been understanding of the issues that affect the community about disparities. And I'm going to talk, for example, about how when he was a landlord, he denied rent to black families. Mm-hmm. You look at what he did in terms of taking out a full-page ad in the New York Times against the Central Park Five, which were a bunch of, they're not young adults, they were teenagers, black and brown teenagers. Took out a full-page ad in the New York Times calling for their execution for crimes they did not commit. They were innocent. Donald Trump, who said of the first black president of the United States, the birtherism, to have people question whether he was born in the United States, to try and diminish. And then most recently, you look in this very election, legal black immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, saying they're eating their pets.
My team here at Shay Shay Media is always growing and making moves. Sometimes it's a challenge to find qualified candidates, especially when I need them right away. Thankfully, there's a place you can go for help. ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter does the work for you to make hiring fast and easy. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Shay Shay. ZipRecruiter smart technology will start showing your job to qualified candidates immediately. And ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology works fast to find top talent, so you don't waste time or money finding the right candidates. You can invite top candidates for your job to apply to encourage them to apply sooner. Experience faster, easier hiring with ZipRecruiter. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get quality candidates within the first day. See for yourself. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/Shay Shay right now to try it for free. That's the same price as a genuine smile from a stranger, a picture-perfect sunset, or even a cute dog running up to you and licking your hand. Try it for free at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/Shay Shay. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/Shay Shay. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Madam VP, if you were to become president, what measures would you put in place to make sure Social Security benefits continue? Because there are reports that it could possibly be depleted by 2033. And there are estimated that 11,000 people turn at least 65 years of age every single day.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to make sure, because that, people, disabilities, retirement, survivors with beneficiaries, what are you going to do to make sure that that continues?
So, Shannon, to your point, there was an independent economic review of Donald Trump's plan, which shows that Social Security in the next 6 years would be insolvent under his plan, meaning that it would not be able to pay out what hardworking people who deserve dignity in their retirement deserve. And as you and I both know, there are a lot of our seniors who their only source of income is that Social Security check.
That's correct.
Right? It's the only way they're going to pay the rent or have food on the table. So my plan is about doing what we need to do to put the resources back into Social Security, but also expanding it. Because here's part of the problem with Social Security is that for our aging seniors, if they are a couple, for example, and one of the spouses passes, that cuts their Social Security benefits almost in half. So part of my plan is to reconfigure it so that that surviving spouse does not then have a crisis where they've already lost their loved one. But we also just have to understand on a macro level, we've got to require that billionaires and corporations pay their fair share, right? They can afford to. And that's part of what is the difference between me and Donald Trump. My plan is about tax cuts for small businesses, for working people, for middle-class people. 100 million Americans will benefit around tax cuts. My plan is that no taxes will be raised for anybody making less than $400,000 a year. My plan is that we give young parents a $6,000 child tax credit to help them pay for child care, for a crib or a car seat, because you and I both know the vast majority of our young parents have a natural desire to parent their children well, but not always the resources. And back to the way I was raised, I know that the children of the community are the children of the community. that you and I will benefit from that young family having the resources they need. So it's about all of us benefiting, but it's a state of mind and it's a perspective. Mine is about thinking about the challenges people face and getting them help. Donald Trump is full-time focused on himself. You watch his rallies. He will spend full-time talking about, I was going to say Freddy Krueger, Hannibal Lecter. It might as well be Freddy Krueger. Hannibal Lecter. He'll spend full-time talking about his grievances, about what everyone has done to him. He'll talk about himself, but he does not talk about the American people. He does not talk about what he's going to do for middle class. He does not talk about what he's going to do for families, for working people. And we're 12 days out. This is probably one of the most serious elections that we have faced in our lifetime. My perspective, and I will be the kind of president who spends full time focused on the needs of the people. That has been my career. I have spent my whole career as a public servant trying to uplift the condition of other people, knowing what is possible and doing it with a sense of optimism. On January 20th, a new president is going into the White House. Period. A new president is going into the White House. Do you want to look at the Oval Office and see a Donald Trump who's going to be sitting there filling out his enemies list, spending full time figuring out retribution and revenge, or looking at the Oval Office and knowing you have a president in there who's creating a to-do list that's about what to do to help the American people?
So raising minimum age of Social Security, that's not on the table for you.
No. Look, people work hard all their lives. And they deserve to be able to retire with dignity. I'll tell you how I come at this. I come at it from a number of perspectives, including thinking about how I was raised in terms of how you take care of the elders, right? I think about it in terms of taking care of my mother when she was sick and dying from cancer. So one of my policies, for example, is to help Medicare pay for home health care for seniors. Why? Because look, I did it, and it means, trying to cook for an elder, to make something they feel like eating, right? To help them put on a sweater. And we have so many people who are in the sandwich generation. They're raising their young kids and taking care of their parents. And either they have to deplete their savings to qualify for Medicaid, right? To be able to help pay for home health care, or they have to quit their job to do the work of taking care of their kids and their parent. And I just believe that's not right, that we should have policies that give people dignity, especially our seniors. So my plan is Medicare pays for home health care.
Okay.
And no, I would not raise the age of eligibility for Social Security, because the same thing, we shouldn't force people to work until they're 70 in order to retire and have a moment to just enjoy their life and not worry about how they're going to pay their rent.
Is Medicare for all a priority for you?
What is a priority for me is making sure that access to health care is a right and not just a privilege of those who can afford it. That's why I am in favor of and have pushed and been a leader on capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month. And why I intend to allow Medicare to actually negotiate against the big pharmaceutical companies to bring down the cost of prescription medication for everybody. That's why I have fought for what we need to do around making sure Medicare covers senior care. Access to health care should not be a question of how much money you have in your back pocket. That's just not right. And I feel strongly about that.
Want to join Club Shay Shay? Become an official member by hitting that subscribe button, where you never know who's going to be joining us for drinks and conversation. Don't be late to the party, because we like to do something before 2 something.